Hi everyone, it's the 7th week of Eastertide and this is Extra-Ordinary. Welcome! This week's theme is example. And there's a few people this week who we can take example from, but have a think, who do you take the example of in your life? Or are you a particularly great example for someone else? I'm sure you can think of a few people either way. Let us know who they are, maybe say thank you to them. I know at the minute there's lots of examples of great courage and determination in our world at the minute, especially. This week, so Sunday, we start with the 7th Sunday of Eastertide. It's coming to the end of Eastertide. We had the Ascension of the Lord last Thursday. And Pentecost is on the horizon, so make the most of the last few days of Eastertide. On Monday the 25th we celebrate the feast of St Bede the Venerable. Now you may notice I'm particularly excited about St Bede. Yes, I am, because St Bede was from the north. He's from the northeast, he's from Jarrow. He's often known as Bede of Jarrow. My old secondary school was called St Bede's, and St Bede's a pretty big deal up here where I'm from, but also all over the country. We've got St Bede Scunthorpe, shout out to you guys in the diocese, and a few other, Bede related things, but he was a scholar. He learned and taught, and this week maybe we can learn things. I know the weekly challenge is going to be about learning something new, spoiler there, but St Bede was a great guy and patron saint of scholars. So Tuesday and Wednesday this week we celebrate two brilliant people, St Philip Neri and then St Augustine of Canterbury. Now these two people were kind of known as apostles, they weren't the apostles, they were just apostles of different places because they brought Christianity to those places and taught people about Christ and all the wonderful things that could happen if they turned their lives round to Christianity. So St Philip Neri, known as the Apostle of Rome, and St Augustine of Canterbury, known as the Apostle of England, for being on missions and bringing Christianity to the people in those regions. On Friday we get a chance to celebrate Eastertide, but also we have a chance to celebrate the feast of St Pope Paul VI. Now Pope Paul VI was a great guy. He was very influential in making a lot of the changes that would have an influence on the church we know today. So if a lot of the things we experience as a Catholic church, Pope Paul VI had a big say in those things. And he was particularly keen on us using media and to share our faith. And you may find that's odd because it was quite a long time ago he was saying these sorts of things, but actually if you read some of Pope Paul VI's letters to us all and to the nations at that time, he was really on the ball. There's one in particular called Inter Mirifica, and I'd have a read of that if you want to. So Pope Paul VI on Friday. Saturday is just a Saturday in Eastertide, so I'm going to leave you there and I'm going to hand you over to Father Jonathan, who has a special message for us this Sunday. See you soon.
Hello everyone, I'm Father Jonathan, the chaplain to the Briars. In this time of lockdown, when our usual routines have come to a halt, it's a great opportunity before we get up and running again for us to look at the balance in our lifestyles. And there could be no better way for us to do this than to actually look at a day in the life of Jesus. So how did Jesus plan his day? Did Jesus get the balance right? How did he do that? What can we learn? What can we take on board for our own lifestyles? So we've got time to do this reflection, so let's do it now. And we're going to look first of all at a reading from the Gospel of Mark. It's chapter 1, verses 21 and then verses 27 through to 39. Jesus and his disciples came to the town of Capernaum, and on the next Sabbath Jesus went to the synagogue and began to teach. The people were also amazed that they started saying to one another, "What is this? Is this some kind of new teaching? This man has authority to give orders to the evil spirits, and they obey him." And so the news about Jesus spread quickly everywhere in the province of Galilee. Now Jesus then and his disciples, including James and John, left the synagogue and they went straight away to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was sick in bed with a fever, and as soon as Jesus arrived, he was told about her. Jesus went to her, took her by the hand and helped her up, and the fever left her. And she began then to wait on them. After the sun had set and evening had come, people brought Jesus all the sick and those who had demons. All the people of the town gathered around the house. Jesus healed many who were sick of all kinds of diseases and drove out many demons. He wouldn't let the demons say anything because they knew who he was. Very early the next morning, long before daybreak, Jesus got up and left the house. And he went out of the town to a lonely place where he prayed. But Simon and his companions went out searching for him, and when they found him, they said, "Everybody's looking for you." But Jesus answered, "We must go on to the other villages around here. I have to preach in them also, because that is why I came." So he travelled all over Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and driving out demons. The Gospel of the Lord. So did you notice Jesus had 5 parts to his day, and also I noticed 2 underlying attitudes that Jesus had. First of all, his involvement in church life. In Jesus' case, he went to the synagogue. And then he spent time with family. He went to Peter's house, Simon's house, for a meal, and he healed Simon's mother-in-law. This was his time to relax, a bit of downtime with his family and friends. And then his work life. Now, we know Jesus was a carpenter, and the last 3 years of his life, he was a teacher. And that overflowed into the 4th area of his day, care for the needy. People crowded around the door of the house to receive his healing touch. And finally, prayer. In Jesus' case, he got up early in the morning and he went for his personal prayer, and he went to that special place, they called it a lonely place, where he could pray to his Father. He'd set aside this time and place. So then there were 2 underlying attitudes. The first one was Jesus' overall awareness during the day of God his Father's presence. Jesus was always talking about his Father, always wanting to do his Father's will. And the other attitude was this attitude of mission. Jesus was a man in a hurry. He wasn't looking for praise and popularity. When the apostles found him and said, "Everybody's looking for you," he wasn't interested in that. He said, "No, I've got to go on to the next thing. There's more to be done, and the next person to be a friend to." So there we have it. Church, family, work, care for the needy, and prayer. And those 2 attitudes of awareness and mission. So how does your day compare with Jesus' day? Are there some areas missing in your day? Do you need to make adjustments so as to get that balance right? Well, the truth is we all have to keep a check and be constantly trying to get that balance right, trying to keep ourselves following that example of Jesus, but we never give up. And what about those 2 attitudes? Do you keep alive an awareness of God's presence with you throughout the day? Or do you ignore him, forget about him, forget that there is Jesus in your heart, is walking by your side day by day, and how we depend on God our Creator, who made us, even for the very air we breathe? Do we forget? And that's why it's good to look back over the day, every day, at the end of the day, just for a few minutes, just to look and see, well, where was God in my day? How did I respond to God in my day? And then we say thank you to God as we remember the different meeting points with him. And we might have to say sorry too. And then there's that attitude of mission. Pope Francis, he's always saying that mission is an essential part of what it means to be a Christian. It's not an optional extra. So we can't sort of think, oh, I've done enough this week, can't be bothered anymore. No, rather we would say with this sense of mission, what can I do today? What can I be grateful for? Who can I smile at? Is there someone who needs my helping hand or a friendly word? What's the next thing I can do for Jesus and his family of the church? How can I make a difference? So there we have it. A day in the life of Jesus, our model to help us keep a healthy balance in our lives between church, family, work, care for the needy, and prayer, and always keeping our awareness of God present in each moment and event of the day, all done with this great sense of urgency, a sense of mission. There's no time to lose. Let's model our lives on Jesus and become more like him every day. Well, goodbye, and God bless you.